Jake Morrison stared at the red warning lights flashing across his control panel. His small ship shook violently as something invisible grabbed it and pulled it toward the planet below. He had never seen anything like this before in his 5 years as a space pilot. "Computer, what is that thing?" he shouted over the loud alarms. "Unknown gravity source detected," the computer said in its calm voice. "Hull damage at 60% and rising." Jake's hands moved quickly over the controls, trying to break free from whatever was pulling his ship down. The exploration vessel Aurora's Edge had been his home for 3 months while he mapped empty space sectors. Now it was falling apart. Around him, the metal walls around him groaned and bent. Sparks flew from broken wires. Jake knew he had maybe 2 minutes before the ship broke into pieces. He ran to the back of the ship where the escape pod waited. As he climbed into the small pod, he heard the terrible sound of his ship tearing apart. The Aurora's Edge had been a good ship, but nothing could survive what was happening to it now. Jake sealed the pod door and hit the launch button. The pod shot away from the dying ship just as it exploded in a ball of fire. Jake was thrown against his seat as the pod spun wildly through space. He could see the planet getting bigger and bigger through the small window. It looked green and blue like Earth, but he knew it was not his home. The pod's parachute opened with a loud pop when he entered the planet's air. Jake looked down and saw thick forests and clear rivers. At least the air looked safe to breathe. His instruments showed oxygen levels that humans could survive. The pod hit the ground hard, bouncing twice before coming to rest against a large tree. Jake's head hurt, and his left arm felt sore, but he was alive. He opened the pod door and stepped out onto alien soil. The air smelled sweet like flowers after rain. Strange birds with 4 wings flew between trees that looked almost like earth oaks but with silver leaves. Jake had landed in a small clearing surrounded by forest. His pod had left a long mark in the soft ground where it had skidded to a stop. Jake checked his supplies. He had food for 1 week, water for 3 days, and a basic medical kit. His communication device was broken, smashed when the pod hit the ground. No one would know where he was. As he looked around the clearing, Jake felt like someone was watching him. The forest was too quiet. Even the 4-winged birds had stopped singing. He turned slowly, scanning the tree line. That was when he saw them. 3 tall figures stood at the edge of the forest, perfectly still like statues. They were clearly not human, but they walked on 2 legs and had 2 arms. Their skin was pale blue like winter sky, and they wore dark clothing that seemed to move like liquid. Jake raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "Hello," he called. "Out. I'm friendly. I'm from Earth." The figures did not move for a long moment. Then the one in the middle stepped forward. Jake could see it was female, with long silver hair and strange marks on her forehead that looked like natural tattoos. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, and carried what looked like a weapon made from some kind of crystal. She spoke in a language Jake had never heard, musical and flowing like water. Her voice was deep and strong. Jake shook his head to show he did not understand. The woman spoke again, this time more slowly. When Jake still did not respond, she turned to the others and said something quickly. Jake could hear surprise in her voice, maybe even shock. More figures appeared from the forest. Soon Jake was surrounded by 15 of these blue-skinned beings. They were all female, he realized, not one male among them. They wore armor that looked like it was grown rather than made, with curves and patterns like those found in seashells. The leader stepped closer. She looked at Jake like he was something impossible, something that should not exist. She reached out with one long finger and touched his arm gently. Her skin was warm despite its strange color. She pulled her hand back quickly and spoke rapidly to the others. Jake heard the same word repeated several times. Whatever she was saying, it was causing excitement among the group. One of the other women, younger looking with short silver hair, pointed at Jake and said something that sounded like a question. The leader nodded and replied in a serious tone. Jake tried to communicate by pointing to himself and saying his name slowly. "Jake, my name is Jake." He pointed to the broken pod. "I came from there, from space." The women looked at each other with expressions Jake could not read. Fear, wonder, confusion, maybe all three. The leader made a decision. She gestured for Jake to follow her and started walking toward the forest. The other women formed a circle around him, not threatening but clearly guarding him. As they walked through the forest, Jake noticed that the trees were not natural. They had been shaped and grown in patterns. Branches formed bridges between trunks. Roots made stairs and paths. This was not wild forest, but a kind of living city. After 20 minutes of walking, they reached the edge of the forest, and Jake saw something that made him stop and stare. A city rose before him, but unlike any city he had ever seen. Buildings grew like massive trees, their walls curved and smooth. Bridges made of living wood connected the structures. Soft light glowed from within the organic walls. Gardens covered every surface with flowers and vines in colors that did not exist on Earth. Hundreds of blue-skinned women moved through the city, all dressed in the same flowing clothing. They stopped and stared as Jake passed. He heard that same word repeated over and over, the one the leader had used when she first saw him. Jake realized that word might mean man or male. These people had not seen a man in a very long time. The leader guided him toward the largest building in the center of the city. As they walked up a ramp made of living root, Jake wondered what would happen to him now. Were these people friendly? Would they help him or see him as a threat? More importantly, why were there no men among them? Where had all the males gone? Jake looked back at the forest where his escape pod lay broken and knew his life had just changed forever. The large building's walls pulsed with soft light as Jake was led inside. The floor felt warm under his feet, like walking on living skin. Everything in this place was alive, grown rather than built. Roots formed chairs and tables. Flowers provided light instead of electric bulbs. Jake was taken to a round room where several blue-skinned women waited. They wore longer robes than the others, with silver symbols that moved and changed shape on the fabric. These were clearly leaders or important people. The woman who had found him spoke quickly to the group. Jake heard his name mentioned several times. An older woman with white hair stood up and walked over to him. She moved her hands in front of a wall, and symbols appeared in the air like a computer screen made of light. "Translator," she said, in broken English. "I am Dr. Kira Velshan. You are human, yes?" Jake nodded, surprised to hear his own language. "Yes, I'm human. My name is Jake Morrison. I'm from Earth." Dr. Kira touched the light symbols again. "We learn your words from your broken machine, your pod computer. You can understand me. Now?" Jake asked. "Some words. Learning more." She paused and looked at him with sad eyes. "You are male human?" "Yes." The women in the room began talking quickly among themselves. Jake heard fear and excitement in their voices. Dr. Kira raised her hand for silence. "Jake Morrison, you must understand. We have not seen male for 105 years. Not of our people. Not of any people." Jake felt a chill run down his back. "What happened to them? The males of your people?" Dr. Kira gestured to another woman, younger with bright green eyes. "This is Commander Lisa Veltar. She lead our guards. She found you." Lisa stepped forward. The translator made her words sound stiff and formal. "Our males died in great sickness. All of them. Long ago. Now we are alone." "I'm sorry," Jake said. "That must have been terrible." "It was end of our people," Dr. Kira said. "We cannot make children without males. We live long lives, but we are dying. Each year, fewer of us remain." Jake looked around the room. All the faces showed the same sadness, the same hopelessness. These people were facing extinction. "How many of you are left?" he asked. "In this city, 2,000. In all the world, maybe 8,000. Dr. Kira's voice was barely a whisper. "When we are gone, no more Villani will exist." Another woman stood up. She was younger than the others, with angry eyes and scars on her arms. "I am Zara Veltos. I speak for many who believe you are our answer." "Answer to what?" "Your body. Your male essence. We can use it to make our females fertile again. Jake took a step back. What do you mean? Zara moved closer. We have machines that can take what makes you male and put it into our bodies. Then we can have children again. Would that kill me? Zara's silence was answer enough. Dr. Kira spoke quickly in their language, sounding upset. Zara argued back, her voice growing louder. Other women joined the argument. Jake realized they were debating whether to kill him or not. Wait, he said, loudly. There has to be another way. On my planet, we have scientists who study diseases and genetic problems. Maybe I can help you find what really caused this. Zara laughed bitterly. You know nothing of our science. We have studied this for, over a century. But you haven't had a fresh perspective, Jake said. Sometimes an outsider can see things that experts miss. Dr. Kira looked interested. What do you mean? Jake thought quickly. On Earth, we've solved many problems by bringing together different kinds of knowledge. Your science is amazing, but it's based on your way of thinking. I think differently, because I'm human. Speak more of this, Dr. Kira said. Show me your research. Let me learn about what happened. Maybe I can find something you missed. Zara shook her head. This wastes time. Our people die while we talk. Every day more females. Grow sick and weak. How many days do you think you'll have left if you kill me and the procedure doesn't work? Jake asked. But if we work together and find the real cause, you might save everyone. The room fell silent. Jake could see them thinking about his words. Commander, Lysa spoke for the first time since introducing herself. The human makes sense. Dead, he helps us once maybe. Alive, he could help us many times. Zara's face turned darker blue with anger. You are all fools. This is our only chance. When his people come looking for him, they will take him away. My people don't know where I am, Jake said. My ship was destroyed. No one will come looking for me. Dr. Kira moved to the light wall again. I will show you our research, but Zara speaks truth about time. Our females grow weaker each season, as if to prove her point, a young woman ran into the room. She spoke rapidly in their language, looking frightened. Dr. Kira's face went pale. What's wrong? Jake asked. Another female has collapsed. The withering spreads faster now. The withering. The sickness that took our males. Now it takes our females too, but slowly. It makes us unable to have children and slowly steals our strength. Jake's mind raced. This withering, does it affect your technology too? Your living buildings and machines? Dr. Kira looked surprised. Yes. How did you know? Because it sounds like whatever killed your males is still active. It's not just a disease that came and went. It's still here, still affecting your people. The women looked at each other with new understanding. Jake continued, if we can find out what's really causing the withering, we might be able to stop it completely. Zara slammed her hand on a root table. Enough talk. While we waste time, our people die. I will not wait any longer. She turned to some women standing by the door. Take him to the extraction chamber. We will save our people today. The women moved toward Jake, but Commander Lysa stepped in their way. No, the council has not decided. The council moves too slowly, Zara said. I have 50 warriors who agree with me. We will act now. Jake realized the situation was about to turn dangerous. These people were desperate, and desperate people sometimes made terrible choices. He needed to prove his worth quickly, or he would become their unwilling sacrifice. Give me 3 days, he said loudly. Just 3 days to show you what I can find. If I discover nothing new, then do whatever you think is best. Dr. Kira nodded slowly. 3 days is reasonable. 3 days we do not have, Zara said, but I will give you 1 day. 1 day to prove your words have value. If you fail, we proceed with extraction. Jake swallowed hard. 24 hours to solve a problem that had stumped an entire civilization for over a century. But it was better than dying right now. Agreed, he said. "But I'll need access to all your research and someone to help translate." Dr. Kira smiled for the first time since he'd arrived. "I will help you. Perhaps fresh eyes will see what we have missed." As the meeting ended and the women filed out, Jake noticed Zara watching him with calculating eyes. She had agreed to wait. One day, but he could see she was already planning something. Jake followed Dr. Kira out of the room, wondering if he had just bought himself time to solve an impossible puzzle, or simply delayed his own death by 24 hours. Dr. Kira led Jake through corridors that twisted like the inside of a giant tree. The walls glowed softly, providing just enough light to see. They passed other Villani women who stopped their work to stare at Jake. Some looked curious, others frightened. "They have never seen a male before," Dr. Kira explained as they walked. "Many of our young ones think males are just stories from old times." They entered a large room filled with strange machines. Everything looked organic, like the technology had grown instead of being built. Vines with glowing pods hung from the ceiling. Trees with silver bark had screens of light growing from their trunks. "This is our research center," Dr. Kira said. "We have studied the withering here for many years." Jake looked around in amazement. "How does any of this work?" "We grow our machines like you grow plants, living technology that thinks and learns." Dr. Kira touched one of the light screens. Symbols and images appeared in the air. Jake saw pictures of Villani males, tall and strong-looking, with the same blue skin as the females but different bone structure around their faces. "These are our males from before the Great Dying," she said sadly. "They were our partners in all things, building, fighting, thinking, creating children." Jake studied the images. What exactly happened to them? It started small. A few males became tired and weak. Then more. Then all of them. In 2 years, every male was dead. What did your scientists think caused it? Dr. Kira waved her hand and the images changed. Now Jake saw microscopic views of cells and what looked like energy patterns. "We thought it was sickness in the blood, but tests showed no virus, no bacteria, nothing wrong with their bodies." Jake leaned closer to study the patterns. "These energy readings, what are they?" "Every living thing on our world has bioelectric field. Like your human brain uses electricity, but our whole bodies do." The male's field stopped working correctly. Something clicked in Jake's mind. On Earth, he had learned about electromagnetic fields in his pilot training. "Dr. Kira, what powers your city? Your machines?" "The planet itself. Deep electromagnetic. Currents run through our world's core. We tap into them." "Has this electromagnetic field ever changed? Gotten stronger or weaker?" Dr. Kira looked thoughtful. "Yes, about 110 years ago there was a great change. The field became much stronger, but this helped our technology grow more powerful." Jake felt excitement building. "What happened 5 years after the field got stronger?" Dr. Kira's eyes widened. "The males began to die. I think the stronger electromagnetic field disrupted their bioelectric systems. Males must be more sensitive to these changes than females. But our females are dying now too. The withering affects us as well, just more slowly." Jake nodded. "Because you're gradually becoming more sensitive to the field as it continues to strengthen. Your reproductive systems are probably the most delicate, so they failed first." Dr. Kira stared at him. "You think the electromagnetic field is killing us?" "I think it's disrupting your natural bioelectric patterns, like putting too much power through a wire designed for less." They were interrupted by footsteps. Commander Lisa entered with 3 other women. One was very old with completely white hair and kind eyes. "This is Elder Maya Velnara," Dr. Kira said. "She remembers the time, before the Great Dying." Elder Maya spoke in their language. The translator made her voice sound gentle and wise. "I have heard strange rumors about your ideas, human Jake. Tell me what you think happened to our people." Jake explained his theory about the electromagnetic field. Elder Maya listened carefully, asking questions through Dr. Kira. "Elder Maya says your words match things she remembers," Dr. Kira translated. "Before the field changed, there were skylights and ground shakings. Like your planet's earthquakes? What caused the electromagnetic change? Jake asked. Elder Maya spoke again. She says the sky fell. What does that mean? Dr. Kira looked confused. Old stories tell of metal falling from sky, big pieces that made holes in ground. Jake felt another piece click into place. Meteors, meteorites, large chunks of metal that fell from space. Yes, that matches the stories. If enough metallic meteors hit your planet, they could have changed the electromagnetic field in the core, made it much stronger. Commander Lysa stepped forward. If this is true, can it be fixed? Maybe. On Earth, we use electromagnetic shielding to protect sensitive equipment. If we could build shields around your people, or find a way to reduce the field strength. Dr. Kira was already moving to her machines. We must test this idea. See if shielding helps our sick females. As they began working, Jake heard angry voices outside. Through the translucent walls, he could see Zara talking with a group of women. She looked upset and kept pointing toward the research center. Zara is not happy about waiting, Commander Lisa said. She has convinced many that you waste precious time. Jake worked faster, helping Dr. Kira design a simple electromagnetic shield using human engineering principles. They built it from Volani, biometal shaped in ways their people had never tried before. Human designs are so different, Dr. Kira said as they worked. We grow everything in curves and spirals. You think in straight lines and angles. Sometimes straight lines work better, Jake said. Sometimes curves do. The trick is knowing when to use which. They completed their first shield, just as the sun began to set outside. It looked like a metallic blanket with geometric patterns, very different from the flowing organic shapes the Volani usually created. Now we test, Dr. Kira said. They brought in a young female who was showing early signs of the withering. Her bioelectric field was weak and unstable. When they placed the shield around her, her readings immediately began to improve. It's working, Jake said. The shield is blocking the excess electromagnetic energy. Word of their success spread quickly through the city. Within hours, Jake found himself surrounded by excited Volani scientists, all wanting to understand his shielding technique. But not everyone was happy. Zara arrived with a group of armed women just as Jake was explaining how to build larger shields. Enough of this, she announced. You play with toys while our people die. The extraction will happen tonight. Dr. Kira stood up. The shields work. We have proof. One female feeling better proves nothing. How long before we can shield 8,000 people? How long before we can make children again? Jake realized she was right about the time problem. Building enough shields for everyone would take months, maybe years. There might be a faster way, he said slowly. Instead of shielding everyone, we could reduce the electromagnetic field itself. Zara laughed. Change the power of the planet? You think too much of yourself, human. Not the whole planet, just this area. If we could build a large enough dampening field, Elder Maya spoke urgently in their language. Dr. Kira translated, she says the ancient sites, places where the sky metal fell. They still exist deep underground. Jake felt a spark of hope. If we could modify those meteor sites, change their electromagnetic output. This is madness, Zara said. We waste time on impossible dreams. She gestured to her followers. Take him. The extraction begins now. But Commander Lisa and her guards moved to block them. The council gave him time to prove his ideas. He has earned more time. The council is weak, Zara said. We act for the good of all Volani. Jake realized. He was about to be caught in the middle of a civil war. The desperate desire to save their people had split the Volani into two groups. Those who wanted to take the quick but uncertain path of killing him, and those willing to risk everything on a longer but possibly better solution. As the two groups faced each other with weapons drawn, Jake made a choice that surprised everyone. I'll go with Zara, he said. Everyone stared at him. But first, give me one chance to prove my idea works. Let me try to modify one meteor site. If it fails, I'll submit to the extraction willingly. Zara narrowed her eyes. Why would you do this? Because, if I'm right, I can save all your people. If I'm wrong, then maybe my death can save some of them. Either way, your people have the best chance of survival. Dr. Kira looked at him with something like awe. You would risk everything for people you barely know? Jake thought of the faces he had seen in the city. The hopeless expressions, the quiet desperation. These were good people facing extinction through no fault of their own. Yes, he said simply. I would. Zara studied him for a long moment. Finally, she lowered her weapon. One day, she said, try your impossible plan. But if it fails, you come to the extraction chamber without resistance. Jake nodded. Agreed. As the armed groups dispersed, Elder Maya approached Jake. She spoke in their language, her voice warm with emotion. What did she say? Jake asked. Dr. Kira smiled. She said you have the heart of a true Villani. Male or female, courage is courage. Jake looked out at the glowing city and wondered if he had just saved these people or simply bought himself one more day of life. Tomorrow he would find out which. Jake woke before dawn to find the city in chaos. Shouts echoed through the corridors and the soft glow from the walls flickered like a dying fire. Dr. Kira burst into his room, her face pale with fear. Zara has taken control of the central power systems, she said breathlessly. She demands the council surrender you immediately or she will shut down all power to the city. Jake dressed quickly. How many people support her? Too many. The fear grows stronger each day. 3 more females collapsed during the night. They hurried through the corridors toward the research center. Jake could see Villani women gathering in groups, talking in worried whispers. Some looked at him with hope, others with anger and blame. Commander Lisa met them at the research center with bad news. Zara has blocked all paths to the meteor sites. Her followers guard every route out of the city. How many warriors does she have? Jake asked. Maybe 60 who will fight. But she also has Captain Nora Velketh, our best military leader after me. Jake remembered Captain Nora from yesterday. She was young but smart, with scars that showed she had fought in battles before. We need to get to the meteor site somehow, Jake said. It's the only way to prove my theory. Elder Maya entered the room, moving slowly but with purpose. She spoke urgently in their language. She knows a secret path, Dr. Kira translated. From the old times when the sky metal first fell. But it is dangerous. More dangerous than letting our people die? Jake asked. Elder Maya smiled and spoke again. She says you sound like our males used to sound, always ready to risk everything for others. They gathered supplies quickly. Dr. Kira packed her portable research equipment. Commander Lisa brought weapons and 3 loyal guards. Elder Maya carried old maps made from living wood that showed symbols Jake couldn't read. As they prepared to leave, alarms began ringing throughout the city. The walls flashed red instead of their normal soft blue. Zara is making her move, Commander Lisa said. She's trying to force the council to give you up. They slipped out of the research center through a back passage Elder Maya showed them. The tunnel was old and narrow, carved from living rock that had grown together over time. They crawled for what felt like hours. Jake's knees hurt from the rough stone, and the air grew thin and cold. Finally, they emerged in a forest clearing far from the city. The first meteor site is 2 hours' walk, Elder Maya said through the translator. But as they stood up, armed figures appeared from behind the trees. Captain Nora stepped out with 10 warriors, all carrying the crystal weapons Jake had seen before. I am sorry, Captain Nora said, but you cannot pass. Commander Lisa raised her own weapon. Nora, you know this is wrong. The human might save us all. The human might kill us all with his delays, Captain Nora replied. Zara's way is certain. His way is just hope. Hope is all we have left, Dr. Kira said. Jake stepped forward, raising his hands peacefully. Captain Nora, can I ask you something? She nodded warily. Do you have family? Sisters, mothers, friends you care about? Of course. How do you want them to die? Quickly but certainly, or slowly but with a chance to live? Captain Nora's expression, wavered. What do you mean? If we extract my genetic material and it doesn't work, your people will still be dying from the electromagnetic field. Maybe it will help some, maybe not. But the withering will continue. And if your plan fails, then at least you'll know what really kills your people. Future generations might find a better solution. Jake paused and looked around at all the warriors. But if my plan works, every female here could have children again. Real children, not just hope for children. One of the younger warriors lowered her weapon slightly. She spoke to Captain Nora in their language. What did she say? Jake asked. Captain Nora looked troubled. She asked what her unborn daughters would think of her choice today. The group stood in tense silence. Jake could see the conflict in Captain Nora's eyes. She was a good soldier following orders, but she was also a woman who wanted to see her people survive. Let him try, the young warrior said in broken English. Please, Captain, let him try. Other warriors began nodding. Jake realized that even Zara's supporters were not sure about her plan. Captain Nora finally lowered her weapon. 1 hour. I give you 1 hour to reach the site and try your idea. If it does not work immediately, we take you back. Fair enough, Jake said. They moved quickly through the forest. Elder Maya led them to a place where the ground had melted and reformed long ago. In the center was a hole so deep that Jake could not see the bottom. The sky metal is down there, Dr. Kira said. It fell so hard it went deep into the planet's core. Jake looked at his equipment. He had built a small electromagnetic modifier based on human engineering principles, but he wasn't sure it would be powerful enough. I need to get closer to the actual meteor, he said. Commander Lysa looked into the dark hole. It's a long way, down, very dangerous. I'll go, Jake said. It was my idea, but Captain Nora stepped forward. No, if you die in there, Zara will blame us. I will go down and place your device. Jake was surprised by her offer. Why would you do that? Because if I'm wrong about you, I want to be the one who pays the price. They lowered Captain Nora into the hole on a rope made from living vines. Jake's electromagnetic modifier was strapped to her back. The device looked small and fragile compared to the massive forces they were trying to change. Minutes passed, then an hour. Finally, they heard Captain Nora calling from below. The device is in place. Her voice echoed up from the depths. Jake activated the modifier using a remote control he had built. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the air itself began to hum with a different sound. Dr. Kira's instruments started showing changes immediately. The electromagnetic field is weakening in this area, she said excitedly. Your device is working. They pulled Captain Nora back up. She looked amazed as she studied Dr. Kira's readings. The change is real, she said. I can feel it in my bioelectric field. But their celebration was interrupted by the sound of many footsteps. Zara appeared with 30 warriors surrounding the meteor site completely. Enough games, Zara announced. You have had your test. Now come back for extraction. But it's working, Dr. Kira said. Look at the readings. Zara glanced at the instruments. One small change proves nothing. How long before you can modify all the meteor sites? Months? Years? We don't have that time. Jake realized she was partially right. His small device could only affect a tiny area. To save the whole Villani population, they would need to modify dozens of meteor sites across the planet. I can teach your people to build these devices, Jake said. We can work together to— No more delays, Zara interrupted. You come now or we take you by force. The two groups of Villani faced each other across the meteor site. Jake found himself in the middle, with weapons pointed at him from both sides. That's when Captain Nora made a choice that surprised everyone. She stepped next to Jake and raised her weapon toward Zara's forces. The human's plan works, she announced loudly. I felt the change myself. We should give him the time he needs. Several of Zara's warriors looked uncertain. If their own military leader was switching sides, maybe they were making a mistake. Nora, you are making a terrible error, Zara said. Maybe, but I would rather die trying to save all our people than live knowing I helped kill our only real hope. More warriors began switching sides. Jake watched as fear and desperation gave way to something else. Hope, maybe, or just the desire to try something different than slow extinction. But Zara wasn't finished. She pulled out a device Jake hadn't seen before, something that glowed with the same bioelectric energy as their other technology. "This is a genetic extractor," she said. "Portable version. I can take what we need from you right here." Jake took a step back. "That will kill me." "Yes, but it will save my people." She moved toward him, but Commander Lisa blocked her path. "You'll have to go through me first," Lisa said. "And me," added Captain Nora. "And all of us," said Elder Maya, speaking clearly in English for the first time. Jake looked around at the Villani women who were willing to risk their lives to protect him. Not because they knew him well, but because they believed in the possibility of a better future. Zara hesitated. She could probably win a fight, but it would cost many lives. Lives her people could not afford to lose. "This is your last chance," she told Jake. "Prove your plan can work quickly or accept the consequences." Jake looked at the small electromagnetic modifier, then at the deep hole where the meteor lay buried. An idea began forming in his mind. Dangerous, maybe impossible, but it might be their only chance. "I need to go back down into the hole," he said, "with all my remaining equipment." "Why?" Captain Nora asked. "Because I think I can make one massive change instead of many small ones. Connect this meteor to all the others underground through the planet's natural electromagnetic grid." Dr. Kira's eyes widened. "That could work, but the energy feedback might kill me," Jake finished. "I know." He looked at Zara. "Will you accept that? If I try this and it works, will you let your people live free? If it fails and kills me, you can still try the extraction on my body." Zara considered his offer. Finally, she nodded. "Agreed, but I'm coming down with you. If you try to escape or sabotage anything, I'll use the extractor immediately." Jake gathered his equipment and prepared to descend into the hole that might. The descent into the meteor crater felt like traveling into the heart of the planet itself. Jake and Zara dropped through layers of melted rock that had cooled into strange patterns. The walls glowed with natural electromagnetic energy, growing brighter as they went deeper. "I can feel the power here," Zara said as they lowered themselves on the vine ropes. "It flows through everything." Jake's instruments showed energy readings unlike anything he had seen before. The meteor wasn't just a chunk of metal. It was some kind of conductor, channeling electromagnetic force through the planet's core. They reached the bottom after what felt like hours. The meteor site was a vast cavern carved from living rock. In the center sat a massive piece of metallic crystal, humming with energy and glowing like a small star. "It's beautiful," Jake whispered. Zara moved closer to the meteor. "This is what changed our world. What killed our males." Jake began setting up his equipment around the crystal. He had brought every electromagnetic modifier and amplifier he could build, hoping to create a chain reaction that would reach other meteor sites across the planet. "This is dangerous for both of us," he told Zara. "If I'm wrong about the energy flow, we could be fried instantly." Zara held up her extraction device. "Then don't be wrong." As Jake worked, connecting his human-designed equipment to the alien crystal, he found himself talking to Zara about their people. "What were the Villani like before the Great Dying?" he asked. Zara's expression softened slightly. "We were builders of living cities, creators of art that grew like plants. Our males and females worked together on everything. Children everywhere, learning and playing. It sounds wonderful." It was. Her voice filled with sadness. "I was young when it happened. I watched my father and brothers die, powerless to help them. I swore I would never let our people suffer like that again." Jake understood her desperation better now. She wasn't cruel, just terrified of losing everyone she cared about. "I'm not trying to replace your males," he said gently. "I'm trying to help you become who you used to be." His equipment was almost ready. The electromagnetic modifiers formed, a circle around the crystal connected by cables that glowed with borrowed energy. Above them, Jake could hear voices echoing down the shaft. Dr. Kira called out readings from her instruments reporting the energy changes to those waiting at the bow. Surface. Field strength dropping in the surrounding area. Her voice echoed. But still too localized for citywide effect. Jake made final adjustments to his amplifiers. This next part is the test. I'm going to try to connect this meteor's energy field to the planetary grid. What does that mean? Zara asked. If it works, the change will spread through all the underground metal deposits. Every meteor site on the planet should start reducing its electromagnetic output. And if it doesn't work? Jake looked at the massive amounts of energy flowing through his small devices. Then we probably die in a very bright explosion. Zara surprised him by laughing. You humans are either very brave or very stupid. Sometimes. Both, Jake admitted. He activated the amplifiers. The crystal's glow immediately intensified, and Jake felt his hair stand on end from the static electricity in the air. His instrument showed massive energy surges flowing away from their location, traveling through the planet's core. It's working, Dr. Kira's voice called from above. Energy changes detected at multiple locations. The planetary field is shifting, but something was wrong. Jake's equipment began sparking and smoking. The energy levels were too high for his human-designed devices. The modifiers are overloading, he told Zara. I need to shut down the system before it explodes. As he reached for the controls, a cable snapped, whipping through the air like a electric snake. Jake jumped back, but the broken cable was blocking his path to the shutdown switch. Zara didn't hesitate. She dove past the sparking cable and hit the emergency stop Jake had built into his system. The energy surge stopped, but not before sending her flying backwards into the cavern wall. Jake ran to where she had fallen. Zara was unconscious, her blue skin darker around electrical burns on her arms. Zara, can you hear me? She opened her eyes slowly. Did it work? Above them, the celebration had already started. Dr. Kira's voice echoed with joy. Electromagnetic readings dropping all across the continent. Jake, your plan worked. Jake helped Zara sit up. Are you hurt badly? She flexed her arms, wincing at the burns. I'll live. Strange that I risked my life to help the plan I fought against. Not strange at all. You want to save your people? We just had different ideas about how. They climbed back up to the surface, where Jake found the Villani women celebrating like he had never seen before. Even Elder Maya was dancing with some of the younger warriors. Dr. Kira ran to them with her instruments. The changes are spreading faster than we hoped. Meteor sites across 3 continents are showing reduced electromagnetic output. What about the withering? Jake asked. Will this stop it? We won't know for certain until we can test our people's bioelectric fields. But the theory is sound. Commander Lisa approached with news from the city. The council wants to make you an honorary Villani. You would be the first male citizen in over a century. Jake looked around at the faces watching him hopefully. These people had welcomed him, protected him, and given him a chance to help them, when they could have simply taken what they thought they needed. I'm honored, he said. But first, let's make sure this actually saves your people. Over the next few days, Jake worked with Dr. Kira and other Villani scientists to test the effects of the reduced electromagnetic field. The results were better than anyone had hoped. Females who had been showing signs of the withering began improving immediately. Their bioelectric fields stabilized and strengthened. More importantly, their reproductive systems started functioning, normally for the first time in generations. It will still take time, Dr. Kira explained as they reviewed the test results. Our bodies need to heal from over a century of electromagnetic damage, but the healing has begun. Jake found himself thinking about his own future. His ship was destroyed, and no rescue would come from Earth. But as he watched the Villani city come alive with hope and energy, he realized he didn't want to leave anyway. Captain, Nora approached him as he stood looking out at the city from Dr. Kira's research center. Zara wants to speak with you, she said. Jake found Zara in the medical center being treated for her electrical burns. She looked embarrassed when he entered. I came to apologize, she said. I was wrong about you and your plan. You were trying To save your people. I understand. No, it was more than that. Zara looked down at her bandaged arms. I was afraid. Afraid that hope would fail us again. It seemed safer to accept certain death than risk another disappointment. Jake sat down beside her bed. Hope is scary. It requires faith in things you can't control. How do humans live with so much uncertainty? We help each other. We share the fear and the hope, so no one has to carry it alone. Zara nodded thoughtfully. Perhaps that's something we forgot during our long dying. How to share burdens instead of carrying them alone. 3 months later, Jake stood in the same clearing where his escape pod had crashed. But now it looked completely different. Volani workers had turned the site into a beautiful garden, with flowers and trees arranged around a small monument. Dr. Kira approached with exciting news. The first pregnancy in over a century was confirmed today. A young female named Tira Lana. Jake smiled. That's wonderful news. She wants to name the child after you if it's a male. I'm honored. Elder Maya joined them, walking stronger than Jake had seen her before. The electromagnetic changes had improved her health dramatically. The council has made a decision about our future, she announced. We want to explore the stars again. Find other worlds, maybe other people like you. Jake looked surprised. You want to build spaceships? We want to build living ships using our biotechnology combined with your engineering principles. Ships that can travel between stars and carry our people to new homes. That sounds amazing. Elder Maya smiled. We hope you will lead this project. Our first human citizen, teaching us to reach for the stars again. As the sun set over the alien city. Jake thought about the choice before him. He could help these people rebuild their civilization and reach beyond their world. He could be part of something greater than himself. The decision was easy. 2 years later, Jake stood on the observation deck of the first Volani starship. The vessel was unlike anything humans had ever built, grown rather than constructed, alive, in ways that still amazed him. Dr. Kira joined him at the viewing port. She was noticeably pregnant now, carrying what would be the first child born in space to their people. Any regrets about staying? She asked. Jake looked out at the stars they would soon explore together. None at all. Behind them, Volani children played in the ship's garden areas. The youngest generation, born after the electromagnetic healing, were stronger and healthier than their parents. They would grow up among the stars, carrying their people's culture to new worlds. Captain Nora's voice came over the ship's communication system. All stations report ready for departure. Jake, would you like to give the order? Jake smiled and activated the intercom. This is Jake Morrison, speaking for all citizens of Volani and Earth. Take us to the stars. As the living ship began to move, carrying its mixed crew,